Now this is the original setup I had in the tank. It's a Motorsports Plus 380. It was originally sitting in going that direction. And I knew it would never actually work. So I've got to come up with something better. So I think I'm going to fit this into it, basically. I'm going to have dual 380 pumps to the feed, 100 AN filters. These are going to get cut off so I can angle them down into the bottom of the tank. One-way check valves. Going to a T. I'm not sure if I'm coming out the front of the tank or if I'm going to go up through the top of the tank. I'm not sure. But the idea is to take this half of the tank and cut it off. Cut this half of the tank off. Make this back part lower when it's in the car, so that way it slopes down a little bit and all the fuel goes back to the back like it's supposed to. And while I got this open, I'll have to figure out how to do some kind of a lid here so I can access it. And I'm also going to put baffling inside the tank somehow. I've got steel studs over here that I'm going to use, or galvanized I should say, from construction leftover. I'm going to put those in there, tack weld those in there, so give me a fuel baffle so fuel's not sloshing around all over the place. Yeah, I probably should go with an Aeromotive or a Holley end tank system, with the 3 little bitty pump. But the problem with that is, one, they're expensive as hell. 2, our tanks aren't deep enough for something like that. I think they're, 7 inches, maybe 9 at the most. Top to bottom, no, they're only 6 inches. So that type of system won't work for these. So you got to come up with something better if you want, or a custom tank. I'm not paying for a custom tank. My time is free, so I use that to my advantage. So I guess I'm just going to have to sit down and start drawing on a piece of paper, do a lot of measurements, see what I can come up with. And this is what I did when it was sitting in the car. I don't know if you can see that real well, but the rear of the tank, when it's sitting in the car, is 19.25 from the floor. The front of the tank was 17.5 from the floor. So it's 1.75 inch difference when it's sitting in the car as far as the angle goes. So I'm going to use that to come up with something that when it's sitting in the car, it sits lower. And it's going to be down here about another 2 or 3 inches under from where it is originally. So all the fuel that's in the tank will end up on this side of the tank, back here where the fuel pump is sucking everything. That's the theory. We'll see how it goes. I decided to get out in the garage today to figure out exactly what I'm going to do to this tank, how I'm going to make it work the way I want it to. So I started cutting, doing some measuring, and this is what I'm working with. I got the tank cut out, top of it's off. That's going to be the fuel system. One's going to be primary, one's going to be on a vacuum switch set at 10 psi. So when it hits 10 psi, the other pump will kick in. It's 25 inches long, 25.5 inches long pump. The tank is roughly 27. I think I'm going to end up cutting here and then back across here, and the same with down and through here. So I can lower, I need to lower this, the back half of the tank 3 inches. So when it's in the car, that'll be the lowest part of the tank will be in the back. The tank is 6 inches from here to here, and from here to about right here, just in front of the seam, is about 4. So that'll give me 7 inches in the back, 6 inches in the front of the tank. So if I cut it like that and extend that down, then I can just graft in a piece here and there. And I think that'll work out pretty good. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm working with right now. Two 380 fuel pumps. 100 micron filters in the back. Almost makes you cry looking at it, doesn't it? $200 some tank. Hacked to pieces. And then I'm gonna figure out the baffling on the inside to keep it from sloshing around. I'll keep digging at it. I'll get her. Hi, welcome back to Triple T Garage. Today we're gonna see if we can't get this tank finished up a little bit. Try to get that welded in. I made the internal baffling. There you can get some holes. The first piece is actually welded to the cross piece, and then that one had to be screwed together. I actually tried to use the what is it? The flux core wire to weld it, because they say it's better for galvanized, but to be honest with you, it's a pain in the ass and it's messy. But that's in there. It's just self-tapper done for right now, and I think I'm just going to weld the self-tappers onto the bottom of the tank and try to get this all welded in. That might be an issue. I'm not quite sure. But, and it's offset like that for a reason. Give me a little bit more clearance to the leaf spring sliders on the back on this side. And then I gotta just start welding stuff up and get it done. These holes, I used electrician's knockout sets for making panels. It comes in handy being an electrician and having access to tools like that. They work out really great for making nice real round holes. Makes it easy too. The idea today is to weld up as much as I can, and then I'm going to probably heat this up, bend this over a little bit so I can get it welded onto here, and then I'll heat in between and smash it to try to form it a little bit better to make a better curve. Not sure what I'm going to do with that yet. I guess I'll figure it out when I get there. And then I'll start figuring out how I'm going to do the lid or something. I got this metal scrap. It was just thrown away from a job site. It's a little thick, but it might work out better. And then I also got a piece of aluminum that I'm going to use to make the lid with. And it's like 1/8 inch, almost 3/16 thick. So that'll work out pretty good. And hopefully it doesn't leak. And full disclaimer, I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. I'm just kind of, winging it. And yeah, I could have afforded a fuel cell, but I didn't want to, didn't like the look. And I like fabricating stuff, so yeah, hopefully it don't leak. And if it does, then I'll figure out how to seal it up. And I also have, just in case anybody's wondering, because raw steel will rust and gas, I have tank sealer. So once it's all done, I can pour this in and roll it around and seal it back up so it doesn't rust on the inside. And when it's done, I think it'll be alright. I'm liking it so far. So, yep. I'll get to welding this up, see what happens. Bye. And voila, it's welded in. Tacked in on the inside. This, I'm going to wait until I've got sealer I'm going to put on the inside here and on the outside on both of them. Then I'm going to tack it to the baffle. I added the piece here to fill in that little gap. And I have to go over and check for some pinholes. Came out pretty good. She's welded in there. I'll go through and clean this up a little bit, find the pinholes, probably a little bit more welding, tack welding, find the little pinholes, take care of that, and then I got sealer somewhere, and then I'll go over and seal all the outside and on the inside. I'm not sure where it's at. Ah, there it is. Is that? Yeah. Permatex gasket maker, fuel resistant. I'll go over that and seal that up. And that stuff works pretty good. And then I got a baffle here that I'm going to trim up. And that's going to sit inside, upside down of course. But that's going to go in there, something similar to that. Which will sit in here like so. Once I trim it to fit, then I'll tack weld that in there. So that'll give me some type of a fuel baffle in the back to help keep some fuel in there. Yeah, it should work. That's the idea anyway. And then I'm gonna start figuring out what I gotta do for the seal I'm gonna make, or the lip, the angle. I'll get on that today and see how that goes. Use that stuff over there. Drill a bunch of holes. Getting close. I think it's going to work out quite nice. It sets at 7 3/4 right now, the way it's sitting. 7 3/4 here. 8 inches over here. So when it's sitting in the car, it'll be at a slight angle, so the fuel will go that way. Keep fueling the pumps, keep everything nice and cool, keep the noise down, keep fuel in the back. Alright. Okay, welcome back to another day. I got the sump, I guess you call it, put in. I got it sealed. I got it welded. I'm gonna put quarter 20s, weld quarter 20s in the holes to mount the fuel pump. And I've been thinking for a couple of days of how to make a top for this thing. And I was recently at a job site and found some metal that was thrown in the trash, which was 1 inch by 3/4 inch. And this is what they use on the bottom of metal frame doors for commercial to keep it from buckling in on transport. So I thought about it for the day, and then at the end of the day I asked if I could do some dumpster diving. Took it out of the trash and then contemplated how I was going to do all this and come up with this. This is a regular steel frame. Nothing fancy, but it fits over top of the lip. Get in there like so. Nice and solid. So now I can weld the outside to the bottom and it's nice and flat. And then I had to figure out what I'm going to use for a top. I originally wanted to make it a hinge top so it flips up, but I can't do that. I really wanted the nozzle coming out to be, just in with the metal, so I didn't want any rubber inside the tank. But unfortunately, I can't do that. So what I have to do is, this is going to have to come off. And I bought number 8 12-inch braided pre-made steel line that I'm going to put on here, curl around, and then it's going to go up to the top. I originally wanted to make this a split half, but I can't weld aluminum and don't know anybody about aluminum. Don't really want to pay for it just for something this simple. So the braided line works out kind of nice. I still don't like the idea, but it's going to work. Come up with that. And also in the trash, I found a nice big old piece of aluminum. It's about 3/16, about 1/8 inch thick. It was in the trash as well, so I used that as a template, set this on there, drew it out, and then plasma cut it. And that's gonna be my lid. And I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mark out all the holes on the rail. I'll mark out holes all the way around. I'm gonna drill holes in here, and I'm gonna weld 1/4-20 nuts on the bottom side of the lip, so then I can just bolt the whole thing down. I think it'll work out pretty good. This really saved my ass. Took a day or two off to figure that one out, and it worked. So, with that in mind, I'll get to marking out some holes and drill those and weld a bunch of nuts on, drill some more holes, cut the holes in the aluminum plate for the return line, the fuel line, and the vent. I think I'm going to put the vent in the back. It's a rollover vent. I think I'm going to put that in the back. And clean out the tank, seal it on the inside with the tank sealer stuff, and put it in. Should work. And hopefully that's all I need to do to this thing, and I can actually drive it again. Maybe. We'll see. Alright, peace. I went ahead and sealed the tank up. I used the KBS tank sealer. That stuff is sticky too. I concentrated mostly on the stuff that I did over here. And it's sticky. And it's kind of nice I got this big hole that I can, get in here, because I had to touch up a few spots over here and touch this up where it didn't really get to real good. And as you can see, it pulls up right around the drain. So I got a little brush that I can get in there and get that stuff out with. But the whole tank is coated. It worked out pretty good. I went ahead and seam sealed everything with gasket maker, gas resistant seam sealed. Inside, outside, that was seam sealed as well on the outside. And then I painted it with Rust-Oleum hammered chrome or metal or whatever the heck it is. Now I'm just draining it out, and then it's going to take like 3 or 4 days for it to seal. And as far as making the gasket for that, what I did is I bought a big old chunk of rubber. It's about 3/16. And the idiots, instead of rolling it this way when they shipped it, they folded it in half and then rolled it up. So I got this big bump, which is annoying, but I don't think it'll affect anything. It just kind of pissed me off anyway. And there's the gasket. I'm waiting until this stuff dries a little bit so I can clean it off. It's got 24 screws that hold it down, and it does not leak. Let's see what else. Oh yeah. And as far as punching the holes in and stuff, Amazon, I gotta love Amazon. They have everything. They're made for punching out leather. They're nice and sharp. Worked great on that rubber. Didn't have a problem with that at all. Now I'm just waiting on what am I waiting on? I'm waiting on something. Oh yeah, the electrical connections for the front of that, or the top of that, so I can hook up the fuel pumps. And I got a 12-inch hose, flex hose. So you're gonna go about like that in the tank. I didn't want to run flex in the tank. I wanted hardline all the way out. But I couldn't make it work, not without doing a bunch of jury rigging or expending money that I didn't need to spend to make my own hardline, which I had the stuff to do that. I can make AN fittings. but I just didn't want to mess with it. Just about done. About another 2 days, and well, let's see, yeah, about 2 days, maybe 3. This will dry up, and that'll be good. And electrical connectors are coming for that. I'll show that when it gets there. I also wanted to add that if anybody's doing a spring relocation on their vehicle, that my springs are 26 1/4 on in between. Theoretically, you can move the spring out 1/2 inch to 3/4 on both sides, and I think the stock tank will clear no problem in the stock position. Mine, I'm debating on whether I have to add 1 inch up here to raise the tank up 1 inch, or if it will clear just the way it is. I know it's tight on this side here. That side's no problem. And as far as the Speedway Motors anti-roll bar goes, I got the brackets welded in for that. And I didn't think that little itty bitty short bar was gonna work, but believe it or not, it does. Clears the shocks, so well, I guess it works. Brake lines are on. I gotta redo the brakes. I gotta get a longer bolt for the eyelet up here, because I want the shoulder of the bolt all the way through instead of, you know, it's back probably about 3/4 of an inch on threads inside, and I want the shoulder poking out a little bit. Then I'll just put an oversized washer or 2 over that, and then a lock nut on the back side of it, so to take care of that. And then the rear end should be done, minus the parking brake cables, which I'm not sure what I'm going to do with those yet. Yeah, that should be about it. And voila, the tank is done. Coating's dried, everything's tight, fuel pumps are bolted in, fuel lines are on, pump lines are on. These are the PTFE electrical wire, which is the same coating as the PTFE fuel lines are. The plastic coating are heat resistant and fuel resistant for 5-10 years supposedly. So these are all made up, everything's in. Coating came out pretty decent. All that stuff is just, the bubblies is just for the extra stuff that didn't get out or couldn't get out. And if I hadn't cleaned everything, then the drain would have been plugged up. The main thing I wanted to get coated was that, so that's taken care of. Now, as far as the electrical fittings, these are what I got for the electrical connections. And I want you to do a search on Google or your favorite website to find fuel cell pass-through fittings or electrical fittings or anything along that line, and see what you come up with. I did a search, a lot of searching, and found these on Amazon. They're 3/8. I don't like 3/8. I'd prefer 1/4 inch, but you can't find them in 1/4 inch. And the one that I did find was a beautiful looking billet aluminum pass-through for fuel cells, about yay big around, for 1 fuel pump, and that was $100. I got these for $47, so I'll take that. So I've got the fuel line in, or out, fuel line out, the return, the rollover vent valve. I still got to get a fitting for that. And what I'm going to do is put it all together and put it in the car and show you the clearance that I actually have to the sliders on the rear of the leaf springs. So I'll get that done. As far as working time goes, I work on it when I'm after work, when I'm not tired, don't have something else to do. So actual working time is probably 24 hours roughly, give or take. A lot of creativity and coming up with different parts and trying to make it work. You know, if I had the money, would I have somebody else do it? Oh, absolutely. But I didn't really want to spend the $3,000 to $2,000 to have somebody make the fuel tank for me. I think I've got roughly somewhere between $200 and $300 in it so far, and that's not too bad. So I'll get this put in and show you the clearance, and then after that's done, then I got to relocate my what is it? Oh, transmission cooler, which is over here draining. I'm gonna relocate that to the frame rail over there by the jack stands. Redo all that line. And I'm also going to change out the brake booster that I put in this thing because I don't need it. I'm going to take all that out. I'm going to put the standard master cylinder out of a 73 Torino in it, and the bracket that I originally had made for it, because with the hydraulic clutch setup operating the brakes, I don't need the booster. You can't tell the difference. So I'm going to get that done, put it in here, and show you what it looks like underneath. Here's the finished version of it with the tank put in. I think fuel lines will still work. I got battery connections there. Got to get a 6A in for the vent, which is coming. Got to hook it up. Here it is from the back view. It does hang down quite a bit. I don't think it's terrible. Could be worse. Side view. It hangs down to where all the fuel is going to drain back there in the box. As far as clearance on the sliders, this one's going to clear just fine. Tank's actually got to move over to the left a little bit. The only interference I have is right here on this side of the tank, which I knew I was going to. So I'm probably just going to dent it in about a 1/4 inch, just enough clearance. I don't know if you can see the holes, but the holes are just slightly off. So I'll probably just dent that in, take care of it, and that'll be done. Oh no, I think it come out great. It's gonna work even better. I think the next video I shoot of this thing will be driving it on the road. I think that'll be the next one. I'm done messing with it. I'm ready to drive it. A couple more things to do. Take care of the brake booster, redo the brakes, dent the tank, get the fuel lines hooked up, fuel cell hooked up, fuel tank, yeah, same thing. What else? Then I've got to go into the computer and do some tuning settings on it. Adjust the cowl tracks a little bit better. And, oh yeah, I gotta finish my bar for my safety harness. Yeah, probably another month. It'll be on the road. Gotta put the front bumper on yet. I still gotta cut that out. And figure out what I'm gonna do with the hood. The hood was rotted beyond belief. So I didn't put a whole lot of effort into the hood. So I think that's about it. Another month, I'll be driving it.